Hey, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I'm going to say Panya Kodam. And I'm going to say Brakti Ho, Brakti Hoshai, Brakti Ho, Brakti Hoshai, Brakti Ho, Bashim Hoshai, Bashim Waha, Rakha, Kodash. And the oneness of the elders and the apostles, a great millstone. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect. It's the young brother here, Shamash 1. Today's video, we're going to get into a history video. It's mainly going to be talking about this church here, the St. James AME Zion Church, which there's one in Ithaca, but there's a video from a long time ago from the brothers GMS Solemn Assembly, and there's also one in Rochester, which that goes back to this name here. It all goes back to scripture, and the brothers mentioned in their video, I watched a little bit of it. They have a zeal, but not a coin of knowledge, so the Jakes that formed this place, which I think he's a Jake. The other person that also founded this that also founded it is not a Jake, but an Edomite, which I'm going to go prove and explain it very lightly. So I'm kind of all over the place, but we're just going to start off with the article. We're going to read on a little bit, and then we're just going to go into the breakdown. So the Underground Railroads in Tompkins County was not enormous operations. Alright, so Tompkins County is where you get Ithaca. Let's just read it for you guys. County seat, Ithaca. So it's a county. Tompkins County is a county located in the United States, state of New York. As of the 2020 census, the population was 105,740. Alright, so it's this kind of area. I'm not really the best with directions. Moving on. But it brought together, so it was not an enormous operation. The Underground Railroads in Tompkins County, which you should already know what that is. Pretty much Jake's running away, from the curses. They're trying to run away from the curses, man. But no matter what you do, man, it ain't going nowhere, man. Which we're gonna get into that. They were getting jacked up so bad in slavery that Jake started to run away, man. That's how you get all these runaway slaves and all that, man. We're brought together the African American community in Tompkins County and several important abolitionists at the time were local citizens. Let's just keep reading. The first slaves came to the United States in 1619, a year before the Mayflower landed. While slavery was a crucial part of the South's plantation economy, it was not as common in the North, whose economy hosted mostly smaller farms. Slavery did exist. It still was around, man. Slavery did exist in Tompkins County, largely controlled by four Southern families who had moved to New York in the early 1870s. In the early 1800s. One census in the 1820s showed that about 30 slaves lived in Caroline at that time. The total number in Tompkins County is believed to be more than 1,000. Alright, so in Caroline it's like one part, but the total number is around 1,000. Many of these slaves, they were given legal freedom in 1865, stayed on in Tompkins County, particularly in Ithaca. So you got a community of Jakes here, but you also have a community of Jakes here that actually moved from New York City, and they came from places like Brooklyn, Queens, Long Island, the Bronx, and they came up here, which how it is. Jake thinks he's gonna get a quieter life, man, but the curses, man, they follow you, man. That's why we're waiting for that new covenant. No more death, no more sin. It'll be perfect. Abolition movements launched from the North Initiated in large part by English Quakers, early abolition work did have several large successes. Rhode Island outlawed slavery in 1652, and all the southern states outlawed slavery by the early um, 1800s, which I believe it's actually 1825. Um, New York State slavery abolished. So, okay, in 1817, the state freed all the slaves born before July 4th, 1799. These damn devils. But to be effective, the dates lock it, the day of the gradual abolition law, to be effective in 1827. It continued with the indenture of children born to slave mothers until the 20s, as noted above. These damn devils, man. You know? Look at this shit. But, basically, I mean, that's one thing. New York State. I read it somewhere else. They abolished. Well, I guess we'll. Okay, so the abolition of slavery, and that became effective on July 4th, 1827, which is that's the same time at the July 4th, Independence Day. You know, that all that shit. Which that when you go into that scriptures, those three horns, the British, the French, and the Spanish. It's going to the British and the American Independence War, and when you go into those, that's just goes into how those countries being removed out of here basically made way for America to grow into a prominent position. But going back here, right? The abolition movement had gotten off the ground. The Underground Railroad started force in the early 1800s, though it grew after 1850 after the passing of the Fugitive Slave Act. Alright, I'm just going to keep reading here. The Fugitive Slave Act encouraged many more people to get involved with the Underground Railroad or support the abolition movement. Passed in 1850, the act stated that citizens had to help find runaway slaves, including those found in the North. And we're going to read a little bit more here, and then we're going to go get some precepts. It has also made it easier for slave owners to file a claim in the case that a slave was not found. Oh shit! I forgot to give you guys the name of the website. It's Ithaca.com. Oh shit! It's locking. But yeah, not a major stop on Underground Railroad. More than 100 slaves passed through Ithaca. So, it is what it is. It also made it easier for slave owners to file a claim. In the case that a slave was found, they were not entitled to a trial or a jury. According to research by PBS, these trials were instead presided over by commissions who stood to earn $5 if the slave went free and $10 if the slave went back to the slave owner. So they incentivized sending the slaves back. Furthermore, the act made it much more dangerous to help a slave run away. If a person was found guilty or assisted a runaway slave, they faced 6 months of prison time and $1,000 fine. Alright, so this is a good time to get the precepts, and then we'll go back to reading that, because I have been reading that for a minute, but you gotta do what you gotta do. This is the book of Deuteronomy, to the 28th verse 15. But it shall come to pass that thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy power to observe, to do all his commandments and his statutes which I command thee this day, that all his curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. Alright, so here I got a breakdown here from the GMS FAQ. Verses 15 to 68 provide an insight of who the Israelites are today. Simply put, who do all these curses apply to? You so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans, as well as you Israelite foreigners, man. Alright, this applies to us, man. This is us. Alright? So, what happened? Which was all set up by the Lord. We weren't able to observe all these commandments. We went off, man. Because we're talking about American slavery, right? American slavery isn't really the right term, because the Northern Kingdom was also enslaved as well, but mainly talking about the Southern Kingdom here. Let's get Jeremiah chapter 11 verse 13. We're going to go to the point. For according to the number of thy cities were thy gods, O Judah, and according to the number of the streets have you set altars to that shameful thing, even altars to burn incense unto Baal. Alright, so the point is to number your cities without gods, O Judah. So Judah was going off, man. They were engaging with false gods, man. Alright? The scripture said that the commandment is let's go ahead and get it. We'll go ahead and get it through the spirit, man. It's not too hard to break down, man. Just go ahead and do it, and then we'll move on. Exodus chapter 20, verse 3. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. So, point blank, period. Which, we went off by doing that, engaging with those false idols, man. We weren't supposed to engage with those damn things. Jake still ain't learned his lesson today, man. That's why Jake is gonna get jacked up, during Jacob's trouble, man. Jake gonna get jacked up during Jacob's trouble. Point blank, period. Let's see here. Let's keep reading here these scriptures. Verse 48. We're skipping down a little bit. Deuteronomy chapter 20, verse 40. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, the Lord shall send against thee in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things, and he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. Alright, so who are our enemies, man? Our top enemy being Esau, Edom, man. But when you go into Psalms 83, our enemy are these other nations, man, because we were sold to them, man. We were sold to the Ammonites. We're sold to the Moabites, man, so-called Chinese, Ammonites, so-called Japanese. We were servants to them, man. We were slaves under them. We were slaves to those Ishmaelites, man. Moving on to yoke of iron, which is the point. A yoke of iron was put on the slaves in American captivity. Exactly. You got photos of that when you go look into it. Judah with a yoke of iron on him. Or just the southern kingdom, which is Israelites with yokes of iron on them, you brothers can go find that on your own. They call it a slave iron bit. Let's see here. Yeah, yokes of iron. This one calls it a slave iron bit. That looks like more like the mask that they got us wearing, which is all the same, kind of principle, man. The whole mask thing really was a symbol of compliance and all that shit. But yeah, that wasn't really what I'm looking for. A slave iron bit is like something like a gag, but you can look up the yoke for yourself. Yokes of iron, it had little crossbars on it, and you can look that up on your own. I can't do everything. Verse 49. And the Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as if as the eagle flieth, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. Alright, so this first happened with the Romans and with the Americans. This is GMS FAQ, by the way. The water to that brother for making this site and also adding these breakdowns. The symbol of America and the Roman Empire is the eagle. Okay, whose tongue thou shalt not understand. The Israelites didn't understand Latin or English. Okay, so once again, these Americans, they came all the way from America, and they came back, the British colonies, so on and so forth. They got slaves, brought them on back to serve slavery. And the Israelites didn't understand Latin or English. Exactly, we didn't, Let's see here, a nation, which is all the curses. This is what happened to us because we didn't obey the Lord. All these curses came upon us. A nation of fierce countenance, which should not regard the person of the old, nor show favor to the young. Exactly. So a nation of fierce countenance, and they showed no favor. They had no mercy, man. Look at this, man. And then so in New York, let's review the information we got. In New York, early 1800s, they basically, like northern states, they start to get rid of slavery. Right? Now they know, and this is how they set it up. They did this shit on purpose. They know Jakes down south are gonna want to flee up north because if slavery's abolished up north, then maybe they can hide up there. But now they got this Fugitive Slave Act, which is gonna explain more, and they did that on purpose. Now they have the Fugitive Slave Act, so now Jakes that are running away, they can get your ass back and put you back in slavery, man. It's all set up, man. This is Esau's MO, man. Never trust thy enemy, man. The same people reincarnated over and over and over again, man. Bro, man, these niggas gotta die. The act not only affected slaves considered runaway, but also made it much harder for slaves who had already escaped to the north. As a result, many who had tried, okay, let me read it again. The act not only affected slaves considered runaway, but also made it much harder for slaves who had already escaped to the north. As a result, many who had tried to settle then pushed on to Canada, so they had to flee even further. In addition, the unfairness of the law made abolitionists all the more willing to help slaves escape despite the risks they faced. The Underground Railroad, which had been functioning well before, had received a sudden surge in the number of slaves trying to escape. No wonder. The Fugitive Slave Act was part of a much larger series of bills known as the Compromise of 1850, written by Senator Henry Clay from Kentucky. The bill also addressed how new states would address slavery and gave land in dispute from Texas back to Mexico. Although the compromise satisfied the country, it wouldn't last very long. The contention regarding slavery as well as the economic stability of the South would prompt the South to secede and the Civil War to begin in 1861. So it's all connected. We're not going to really go into that because this video is going to be too long. In New York, Tompkins County played a much smaller role in the Underground Railroad, though it did participate. Alright, and what I just say, Ithaca is a part of Tompkins County, man. I don't really know every little detail. I don't really pay attention to things like that. Of like directions and shit like that. About 114 people came through over the period of 1850 to 1861. I can't verify that. No one can verify it. If you look at the map, we are not a major place, said Carol Cameron, Ithaca, Tompkins County historian. In general, the path the slaves went from Elmira, that's not too far, toward Rochester and Buffalo, the final destination before Canada. In Tompkins County, according to the research, the path led along Coluga Lake from Heights Chapel to Trumansburg and Interlaken, and then onwards. Ithaca was a larger stop, mostly because of the efforts of local citizens who were active in the Underground Railroad. So that's pretty much it. They were wanting to flee up north, and then some of them will go into Canada, so on and so forth, going to varying regions up north to flee. Let's see here. I want to get one more thing, but I think I pretty much explained it. Yeah, I pretty much explained that. But we're gonna keep reading on. Then there's something I want to bring out here and go into Numbers 1 and 18, because there's only a little bit more. Probably the most famous was George Johnson, a local barber. Actually, I'll read this part first. I don't believe there was an organization, Cameron said. I think that they were very brave people who responded to the situation of people freeing themselves from slavery. Probably the most famous was George Johnson, a local barber, provided new haircuts and outfits for runaways. The largest, which you can read up about him on your own, George Johnson. I think I found something on him. There's like a mural. I'd have to look more into this guy on my own. See if this dude is really a Jake, or not. But moving on. Back here. The largest player in the Underground Railroad was the St. James AME Zion Church, which is still alive and well today. Which you got right here, which Esau got people confused and got them fucking engaging in this dumb shit. So that's not the truth. Fucking Methodist or whatever garbage this shit is. It ain't the truth, man. All right. The church was founded in 1836 and hosted a series of anti-slavery pastors who helped to make the church into a hub for runaway slaves. Thomas James and Jermaine Logowen, both well known for their work on the Underground Railroad, were pastors. The church also helped to bring together influential abolitionists at the time, including Harriet Tubman and Frederick Douglass. Tubman, in fact, in fact, Tubman, in fact, later built a community home for the elderly in Auburn, staying close to the area. But I want to focus on this dude here, one of the pastors, right? Thomas James and Jermaine Logoin. When you look up Jermaine Logoin and you pull up his info, this dude's an Edomite, man, right? An actual Edomite. So let's see here, Jermaine. So it's GerLoguen, and you can go read it. I'm gonna put it in the description box. You bros can go read the article for yourself. But this is biography. Well, they call him Jarm, but they say Jermaine. Jarm Logu was born to an enslaved woman named Cherry. I guess his nickname is Jarm. Logu, Lage, was born to a enslaved woman named Cherry in Davidson County, Tennessee, and her owner, a white man, an Edomite named David Log. Okay, so he was born of an Edomite. He came out the seed line of an Edomite. Alright, so let's go ahead and get Numbers 1 and 18. We're not getting into the wheat and tares, but that too, man. You know, he's a tare. Numbers 1 and 18. And they assembled the congregation together on the first day of the second month, and declared their pedigrees after their families by the house of their fathers, by the house of their fathers, according to the number of their names from 20 years old and upward by their polls. So it goes by the fathers. Okay, so this guy right here, man, he's an Edomite. Alright? This is all this fucking confusion, man. Now, what's to say a guy like that, right, which he came out, and when you see his photos, he came out kind of, I guess the term is light-skinned looking, right? And what if he went in and had children with a dark-skinned woman? Alright, and then that seed line got darkened up over time, man. That's still an Edomite, man. Point blank period. He's going into slavery. Alright? Because he's an Edomite. Point blank period. So that's pretty much it, man. This church, St. James AME Zion Church, it was a spot for Jakes trying to run away, man. Because them curses were coming down hard on them in slavery, man. They're getting jacked up. You know, we'll just bring out another one real quick. Deuteronomy to the 28 verse 32, thy sons and thy daughters shall be given to another people, and thine eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long, and there shall be no might in thy hand. And here's the breakdown. During slavery of either northern or southern kingdom of Israel, there was nothing that the Israelites could do to stop the atrocities that happened to them. Children being sold, parents being sold, all the rape, so on and so forth. And all the rebellions got crushed. Exactly, that's that no might in thy hand, man. All the rebellions, they got crushed, man. You know, because they had guns and they just stopped Jake, man. You know, it's just the way the Lord had it set up. You know. But hey, to end off though, you know, Esau rulership is temporary, man. You know, this was just meant for us to. We're in this position right now. Wasn't supposed to be a permanent thing. We're not supposed to just be in permanent fucking bondage. That ain't happening. Isaiah 47 verse 1. Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground. There is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldees, for thou shalt be no more called tender and delicate. Alright, and the dust represents confusion. The virgin daughter of Babylon, America. You got the whore Babylon and Babylon the Great, so on and so forth. There is no throne, means there's gonna be no more rulership, man. After World War III comes down, man. There should be no more called tender and delicate, so on and so forth. Also with the virgin daughter of Babylon is going to how America's never been attacked. You know, America's never had a full on siege. You know. There should be no more called tender and delicate. Americans have never known a proper attack, a proper loss of life. Exactly. Don't try and bring out that bullshit, man. I know what you dudes are thinking about. Alright, that thing with the two towers and that shit. Alright, that shit was an inside job. Fuck you, man. Alright. That shit was an inside job, alright? I don't give a fuck. Alright, it's true. Look up the fucking documentaries. That shit's true, bro. Just look that shit up on your own. But that's it. I pretty much wrote down everything I wanted to get into, man. Jake's for running away from slavery, man. But once again, all this stuff, man. You run from one thing, you may have ran away from the plantation, man. But we're just under debt slavery, man. We're under just a different kind of slavery, man. Slavery of debt. These Edomites got our people enslaved in their fucking head with all the fucking lies. I mean, it just goes on and on and on, man. But fuck these devils, and lo on you was edified. Shalom.